Nigeria has the highest number of sickle cell cases, as you know, in all the world. About 50% of Nigerians are either carriers or have the actual sickle cell disease. And Nigerians are resilient. So even many SS people live life to the fullest. Now, having said that, we know that it costs the country a lot of effective work hours, especially when they get to their adolescent years. Now, what progress has been made? Number one, the bone marrow transplant, which has been in effect more than 30 years now. But the problem or limitation is that people didn't find perfect matches. When they do the HLA typing, they have 7 genes that they type. You have to have at least 75% homology or similarity to receive transplant. So you will avoid the rejection of the marrow, because then they obliterate the original marrow, which generates the sickle cells. Then they give you another marrow that gives you the right one. So if you're compatible, then you would lead a normal life. Your genotype will be changed, the peripheral blood genotype. Now, so that was grossly limited because people didn't have perfect matches. Just a few months ago, the FDA of the United States of America, in their rigor and the tests, and with a lot of expert input, they approved a new gene editing therapy for sickle cell anemia.
How does that work?
Fantastic news. And that doesn't have any age limit. You could be a baby, a young person, old, 40, because the bone marrow transplant was restricted to people aged 10 and under so that they could survive. But with the current contemporary gene therapy, which involves gene editing, they just go and change. It's a point mutation that causes all of this trouble. So they've targeted it, and it's been successful. Every case that I have read about with this gene therapy is successful. Now, I must say that because it is new, everybody's waiting to see what the long-term effect might be. The way it works is that they bleed the people. They take out your own bone marrow cells, because that's the bone marrow. They're pluripotent. That means they can differentiate and become platelet cells, red blood cells, whereas the sickle shows, and other white blood cells. So they take out your own pluripotent cells, and then they separate them out from the serum, purify those pluripotent cells, then they send in the enzyme with precision, goes to alter the gene, and then they grow back the cells, and then infuse it back through an IV. So you receive back your own cells with the right copy of the gene. Now, nice. A young 23-year-old who had it in Chicago said that it was like night and day. When they asked him, how do you feel? He said it's like night and day. He said he was so full of energy and life. He didn't know life was like that. He said he could see clearer. He could think deeper. And so these children who have sickle cell and still perform so well, you can imagine how much more they will do with that therapy. Now, the question is, manipulating those pluripotent cells and using external signals outside the body, in vitro, not in vivo, will it have any effect on them in the long term? No one knows the answer. Will it make them develop leukemia, for example? That's a major concern. So they're going to be monitored for a period of 5 to 10 years to see if they have any such tendency. If we can predict, everything should go well, but who knows?
Perhaps we'll begin to export it to Nigeria, hoping that Nigerians can benefit from it. But how cost effective is it?
It will cost a fraction of what the chemotherapy bone marrow transplant procedure cost. In the past,
just a fraction.
That was about $100,000 if you were paying out of pocket to do the bone marrow transplant, and through the 3 months that they follow them, all of the therapies. So, but now this should go for less than $20,000.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
the power of technology.
that's a good fraction anyway. $20,000, that's a good fraction. And if you have insurance, it
Of
should be
course, it will
cheaper.
come to close to nothing because it is now an FDA-approved therapy. In the US, you don't have to pay. Your insurance will now cover it if you have an insurance there.